I cast you down, you non-believers in the aliens of old. Now, people still say Sumerian is mythology and Enlil was fake and there's no such thing as Enlil. That's because they don't want it to be, because that means it changes religion, changes everything. Now, there are actually peer-reviewed papers that talk about Enlil, etc., as if he is a real character. And of course, then once he becomes a real character, he'll need his own temple. And of course, Enlil did have his own temple, and this is what's left of it, which is a bit of a shame. However, what makes Enlil a god or an alien then? Well, the actual tablets. Now, you've now agreed that he was a real character, so why can you not agree that the tablets that talk about him are genuine? No one's going to sit and write hundreds of thousands of these tablets and bury them for a giggle. So when you translate the tablets and you've got things like Adapa, which was Adam, out of Adam and Eve, being taken up to another planet, and then King Anu saying send him back to his Earth. 15-minute cities. There's studies coming out to see what detrimental effect would have. Now, I done a chat GDP saying what will actually shut down over the next few years, and it says large supermarkets, big box retailers, I guess DIY, car dealerships. So if any big businesses think that they're going to be fine, gas stations and commercial office space. And then there's other more targeted ones. So year one, large theme parks, West End theatres, pubs, DIY stores. Year two, police number cut, office rentals or house rentals, music equipment shops or manufacturers, pawn shops, music performers. Year three, you get the point. Basically, we're going to end up having nothing. Amazon, probably eBay, and we'll own nothing. They're the only ones that will survive. You can see the list goes on here. Police, airports are going to shut because obviously no one's going to want to risk using their allowance to leave their 15 minutes. The Bible versus cuneiform tablets. Now, I'm going to be writing a book showing you the differences between the Bible and the original texts. Now, I know there's people out there that don't even understand that there's cuneiform tablets that predate the Bible, that the Bible copied from, and I know there's people that don't even know that we have two fused chromosomes, which can only be done in a laboratory setting. So they actually still think that God created us, as opposed to Elohim, which is the actual translation of God, which is God's, which was the alien race name. So here, for example, which is something similar I'm going to be putting in my book, shows you the Genesis version of the 7 days of creation. However, the original tablets, now Enki was the person, God, that we're talking about in this particular paragraph. And, well, I won't spoil it for you, but you can guess it's not the same as that. It's so just let me know by clicking a like whether you think it's a good idea to do this book, whether you'd be interested in it. Breaking news. Scientists say that they have created free energy from nothing. Well, if you actually read the story, it goes on to talk about enzymes, etc. And if you're interested in reading the story, go and look up electricity from thin air enzyme clean energy, and you'll find this article. The reason why I'm talking about this is because in the past people have claimed that they have created free energy, and unfortunately those people end up passing from various mysterious ways. In other words, we never got to see their free energy devices, even though some of them were actually shown on TV. And that kind of leads back to the beginning of it all, where Tesla said that he could create free energy and was told there's no way that the population will ever get free energy, simply because the powers in charge won't want that. So we've got to ask ourselves, will we ever see this free energy? I doubt it. The alien temple that belongs to Ninurta, which was one of the Anunnakis, I did mention a couple of videos back about this. Now, I thought I'd just go back and see who actually funds it, because that will allow me to know whether or not we're going to get to see the 200 tablets they found recently. They have actually already excavated this before and found over 1,000 odd tablets, which we've still not seen. So I thought I'd see whether or not these 200 that they mentioned. So it's called the Garsu Project, which is funded by the British Museum, which is also known as the Rockefeller Museum, believe it or not. And it's also this project was also funded by the Getty Museum. And when you actually look who the Getty Museum is, you'll find, wait for it, Rockefeller again. And the reason why I keep going on about the Rockefellers is because they're the ones that do not want us to know our true history. So bottom line is, we're never going to see what these 200 tablets said. Breaking news, the Pentagon said that basically there could be a mothership UFO in our solar system. Now, I just want everyone to realise that the chances of them suddenly turning up now, even though we've seen flying objects for decades and decades, centuries in fact, but now suddenly they're turning up now when Project Bluebeam is supposedly going to be coming into effect, etc., etc. Watch my previous videos if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is. But all I'm going to say is when the governments tell us, oh no, run for the hills, hide, lock yourselves in your houses, don't bother doing what they say. And the reason for that is they want us dead, the aliens. We wouldn't be here now. You know that in your heart. You know there's no way that those aliens that can fly around quicker than bloody Father Christmas would let us be living and creating these kind of weapons. So just take what the government say with a pinch of salt. Yes, there are aliens, but they're not coming to invade us. Where did the Anunnaki go? I did say that on video 1000. Thank you very much for everyone watching. I will give my version of where I think the Anunnaki ended up. So Enlil, Enki and Ninhursag, for example, all died here on Earth. The demigods ended up being in Rome, and that matches the time frames between Greece and Rome. And I think the demigods, although they didn't have the same longevity, which were offsprings off of Anunnaki and human, as the full-blooded Anunnaki, they definitely had longevity of life. And they created a place called Vatican City, which is where they could be secure, because obviously Mount Olympus wasn't perfect for them because it didn't have a stronghold and it didn't have a religion. And they created a religion. Although humans already created religions prior to them, they needed a way of keeping people under control themselves, so they created this place. Now, funny, this little book here has these little gemstones, which is very similar to the gemstones on the breastplates that the priests wore when carrying the Ark of the Covenant. But the Vatican has a place called St. Peter's, and there's not many people see these pictures, but if you look carefully, you'll see a centaur. Now, centaurs actually were first described, I know people say Greece, but no, in Sumerian times, which means the Anunnaki. Watch my video on my Patreon page called Everything You Need to Know About Mermaids. I actually cover centaurs and hydras and things like that on that video, but that's on my Patreon page. But anyway, so now we're proving that the Vatican, by having that image there, has some sort of connection with the Anunnaki. Now, the Vatican also has many telescopes, and the first one was built in 1774. Now, we know they're not looking for God because you can't see God. So what benefit would they have back in 1774 to look for a planet? Let's be honest, they're looking for planets. Nibiru. Why would it be Nibiru? Because that's where the Anunnaki come from. Now, the Vatican also has a vault, and many whistleblowers have said that they've actually seen inside the vault, and this is a public vault, not the vault that the whistleblowers are talking about. And inside that, there is many things such as giant skeletons. Now, they might not be giants as in the giants, they may be the Anunnaki, which were 8 to 12 foot, so obviously still giant to us, but not as a giant. So when you've got the Anunnaki hiding stuff, or the Vatican hiding stuff, you kind of get an idea that maybe the Anunnaki are part of the Vatican still.